Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my officina. So, anyways, top of the morning to you. I've been busy for a while. Got some stuff going on. I gave Tommy Prohaska one of the texts for Mark Gagnon. I gave him my Hanya mask that's usually hanging on the wall right there, that spot just above the white ceramic skull. I gave it to him because the guy's really cool, man. And if you're ever going to check out comedy, check out Tommy Prohaska. He's a great dude. So, I was thinking about ideas because I called my brother from my platoon, and there's a whole bunch of people I can call in different agencies in Mexico because I know I'm on a first name basis with all of them because I worked with them. But what I'm doing right now is I'm coming up with some new episodes for you guys. I want to generate interesting content. But I'm just looking through, AI, so the cat's out of the bag. We got it, and where we're going with it. Well, stay on point, Dave. Tell them what you got coming up. On deck, I've got an interview with an authentic Cuban soldier. That's one that's coming up. I got a trip I got to make here later this week, so I'm going to be out and about. But I've got a trip coming up with then I'm going to go see some family and go take care of some stuff. But on deck, I've got an interview with a Cuban soldier that I'm friends with. And I would like to bring that to you because it's an interesting perspective that you might not always see. I spend a lot of my time working with things, tinkering with things. I mean, I stay busy. Yesterday, I got an email at 11:11 a.m. of them informing me that I was indeed registered for a class at school because I still go to school. I want to get my degree in law. That a spot opened up, and now I have to do 6 assignments while I'm out on the road taking care of stuff, and I got to get my assignments turned in. So, quality problems, you can't complain about anything because somebody's got it much worse than you, so I'm not going to be upset. I'm grateful I got the class. I also have an interview coming up with someone that was captured by the cartel and forced to live with them for a little bit. There's crazy things that'll happen when you start speaking Spanish or Russian or whatever. Так, я не знаю, что я должен сказать, но я хочу, что мы можем поговорим. Yo no sé qué puedo decir, pero deberemos empezar de platicar con gente que está, que se viven. We should start speaking to people outside of our initial groups because it makes for a more broadened understanding of what's going on in the world, regardless of what your opinion is. I spend an inordinate amount of my time, so I've got an interview coming up with a Cuban soldier, ex-Cuban soldier, and someone from Nicaragua that was stuck into cartel servitude, if you will. That's on deck. I've also got something coming up to this city that I'm going to be interviewing. So there's that coming up on deck. I'm still waiting for my video to be processed and dropped or edited. I don't edit my videos as much as I should, and really I had to take a course on it. I mean, I've gotten a lot better in the half year that I've been doing this. I've been doing this since January. I mean, I've been screwing around with CAD and stuff like that. Mastercam. Just a lot of stuff for a long time. But the editing skills on the video are wanting. So other people make a much more professional product than I do. I kind of shoot from the hip. But I like to get some content out there. I was watching one of Tommy G's videos lately, and he was talking about how the people treat him when he was going after the Kia boys or whatever. He was wondering if he would be as well received if he didn't have the platform that he has, being white bread from Milwaukee. So, I'm a thinker. I think a lot. I think about things like why the temperature differences and the bugs on this plant are killing it, so it's not outside right now. It's in my office. I think about things like tensile strength. I think about things like QD slicers and the parameters that are involved with that, with the temperature and the melting point of different materials, etc. But I also think about things like, have you ever noticed that all of these YouTubers all know each other? Sean, Ed, Julian, Fisher, Bustamante. They're all like, they have different, including Mark Gagnon, you know. Cool dude, man. Hard worker. That guy is a worker, I can tell you that. But you start getting into people's backgrounds, and so with the advent of AI or artificial intelligence, you know, I start messing around. I start thinking, you know, how is it all these people know each other? None of them will talk to me. Come to find out, looking up Ed on Ask AI or Chat GPT or whatever, apparently he's a single parent that lives in Houston, and that's funny because I was living in Houston too. Crazy that we can't get together. So I started to start looking some of this stuff up. Dalton Fisher, big name podcast, has had big name people on there. Harvard graduates on his program. Interviews a lot of heavy hitter people. His background. Well, you go on here and you ask him for the background on all this stuff. It's right there. I've got my other phone. My normal phone is filming this right now, so forgive me. But I got my old one. You know, when you ask him about his personal background, what did he do before creating content? Before launching Fisher Multimedia, Dalton Fisher, also seen as Fisher with the CH combination instead of SCH combination rather, built a strong foundation in marketing and themed entertainment. So, you know, he went to Missouri State University, graduated in 2017 with the Bachelor of Science in Marketing, sales emphasis. So you start going down, and I don't know, man. I'm very detail orientated. In fact, I code for a living. You have to. If you even have a tab indentation that's one space versus two spaces, you know, and the whole thing with the switch from Python 2 to Python 3 with print now being a function. I'm probably speaking Greek to a lot of you guys. You got to have all your details, your ducks in a row, or you're not. It's not going to work. So your whatever code or script that you're writing. So I like go down all the things, man. I'm a thinker, like I said. I like to sit there and ponder stuff. So, you know, summary, too long didn't read. Before becoming a social media entrepreneur, Dalton Fisher built a marketing and PR career in the themed entertainment industry through a marketing degree from Missouri State in 2017, interning in public relations at Silver Dollar City, working as a communications manager, senior publicist, engaging in industry events and networking via IAAPA and Theta Chi, which is its fraternity. So, getting into Tommy G. Early life and YouTube start, because I wonder, I'm like, how is it all these guys know each other, you know? What's up, you know? How do they all know each other? Because they do. They all do podcasts. In fact, Julian and Tommy were just getting waterboarded by Bustamante, which I happen to know a thing or two about waterboarding. I'm just going to leave it like that. But you start wondering how all these guys know each other. So I started thinking, I'm like, you know, let's just have a look. And so apparently his breakthrough was a Kia Boys documentary that went viral with 3 to 6 million views, but he also had gripping on the ground documentary starting around 2022. He started his life as a door-to-door salesman. So I'm glad that he blew up, man. I love seeing people be successful, everybody, including Ed. And I got haters that, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a gringo. What do you know about drug cartels and whatever? My life's not just drug cartels. Drug cartels are definitely a big part of my life. I worked it for several years, but that's not everything that I do, as you can see. I got a lot of stuff going on around here. Hey, if you haven't tried tonic water, give it a go. You're going to love it, or you're going to hate it, like pickled herring. I love pickled herring, too. So he's got a background. Personal life and other endeavors. Tommy G is a rapper. Included one Joe Exotic of Tiger King fame. Tommy G came up through casual content creation from 2015 onward. So he's been doing this a while. Julian Dory. And I ask these questions because they do a lot of cartel-related content. And none of them have reached out to me, and I've reached out to all of them. So, if they don't want to let me into their playground to go play, I'm going to make my own playground. I'm going to do my own thing. I got to get some schoolwork done, so this isn't going to be a big video today, but I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, Early life, bright guy, banking on Wall Street, worked in ultra high net worth private banking for about 4 to 5 years. Smart dude. Gotta be. In fact, I was even thinking about getting into stockbroking at one point in time in my life, but that's another story. Though well compensated, he felt out of place and ultimately declined a contract offer. Later moving back in with his parents early in the pandemic to launch a podcast content full time. Hey, man, that's cool, man. Respect to you, dude. I quit a $100,000 a year job to go make $600 a month working for the Mexican government. So I kind of get that. Pivot to digital content in 2020. There's the Ian Bick guy. These guys all know each other, and a lot of people know Ian's story. Cool dude. In fact, I'm supposed to be going on his podcast. Maybe that'll work out. Maybe it won't. I've gotten busy, and he had something that he was shooting too. He's got this style focus summary, Julian Doris. So, Ed Calderon, a former Mexican law enforcement officer turned security consultant and cartel expert. This is also on ChatGPT. Expertise that he was born and raised in Tijuana. I still find his lack of an accent speaking English suspicious as hell. Sus, as they would say nowadays. I lived in Tijuana too, and you know what? Every Tijuana person I've ever heard, even living in proximity to the border, they've got an accent super thick the same way I got an accent when I'm speaking Spanish. Ed, that's suspect. It's going to be suspect till the day I die. But he's got a bunch of stuff in here. Trained elite groups across North America, including FBI, BORTAC, U.S. Navy SEALs, Indonesian Kopaskan Special Forces. There's a lot of things I would love to have a podcast with Ed, but he doesn't want to do it. I've had that $1,000 reward down there, and I know $1,000 reward is pennies in today's economy, but I'm not a rich guy. I study a lot. I work a lot. I'm not rich. But anyway, so I've got his thing on there, but there's also credibility and criticism on Ed right there. You can pause the thing and get a look at it. Quote, Ed Calderon was never a cop in Mexico, was an unarmed security guard, panicked when we came across the torn screen door and eventually fired. Having worn a Mexican uniform, I'm going to be extra critical of Ed. So I'm not bagging on Ed or dogging Ed. I'm protecting the integrity of my uniform and the uniform of my brothers. And you know what? Ed has undoubtedly worn a uniform. He has one picture where he's uniformed. This video is not about Ed, but Ed just reads shit off the internet. I probably have to bleep that out. Maybe not. He's a clown, pretends to have some spec ops exploits. This isn't even mine. You can go on there. None of those are my quotes. This is what other people have to say. He constantly rags on Charles Bowden and Lone Grillo. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the insight. He sounds legit. Spanish accent is genuine. Yeah, but his lack of a Spanish accent when he's speaking English isn't. Summary. Ed Calderon presents himself as a former Baja State police officer with deep experience in cartel warfare and security. He now runs public and private training, blah, 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 blah. I got to be careful because I'm putting out my own content, and I've bagged on some of Ed's content, and rightfully so, because he does talk about there's some places where he crosses himself up as far as the type of weapons that they had available to him his first night in service, only being a shotgun and one AR-15. To where on his second night out on patrol, he's carrying a grenade launcher. I mean, so I'm not going to get into Ed's thing. I'm talking about the link between all these YouTubers because they all have a link between them because they all go on each other's things. Bustamani's another one. I haven't even looked him up. So, hey, I did mine. I'm going to put it there. Currently works at a group that I don't work for. So, you know, I did my whole thing. Says that I'm in Berwyn, Pennsylvania. In the aviation and aerospace industry. That I oversee manufacturing operations, likely managing teams and streamlining production processes. Which I do. I do that. That part's true. The company's wrong. Education. That I attended a university in Zacatecas, which I did, studying law, which I did, and then also I studied at Tec de Monterrey, which is also in Mexico, in 2015. Skills and expertise. Dave brings a diverse skill set, including leadership and team building, operations and continuous improvement, aerospace manufacturing and CNC programming and operation, lean manufacturing, 5S process improvement, background and location. This is on me. I'm asking ChatGPT about myself. Likely of Mexican origin based on university attendance in Mexico and current residence in Pennsylvania. Not true. The closest to Pennsylvania that would be in Brooklyn, but whatever. I work in U.S.-based aerospace sector, handling advanced manufacturing workflows. So currently what I'm doing something for the government. Can't really talk about it, not because it's top secret or classified, but there are ITAR regulations which prohibit me even discussing what it is. So I'm not going to get into it because to do so would be illegal. But kind of on base, got the country wrong. Summary. Dave is a Mexico-educated professional who pivoted into the U.S. aerospace manufacturing field with a law background and studies at top Mexican institutions. He now applies strong leadership and technical skills as a manufacturing blah, blah, blah at a certain international company. Then I look up Camp Gagnon's background. So you can go, I look up Lex Fridman's background. Born in the Soviet Union, родился на Советский Союз, в Москва. So he was born in the Soviet Union and raised in Moscow, right? Он учился, занимался he was studying here in MIT. So, yeah, he came to the United States at like Lex Fridman. I asked this because these guys all have podcasts with each other, and it's interesting because you jump on YouTube, bam, you're on it, you're like, whoa, that's cool. Dave's office is cool, man. He's got all kinds of cool stuff, 3D printer, plants, tattoos, shirt from from Stale Cracker in Louisiana. I was there. I got pictures in his kitchen. Maybe I'll post them. His mom's a great person. Lived right down the street from, or right, not far from where Britney Spears lived, and not far from where Leonard Skinner crashed their plane. So I've been around a lot. So you get on and people will see my YouTube channel and be like, whoa, that guy's kind of weird, whatever. You know, what's going on? But I'm going to listen to his content, right? So a lot of times when people present YouTube content, the content's interesting, but people don't really think about the source of where it's coming from. Okay? And they should. So I want people to get to know me. Tommy G really sparked, he triggered something in me. Mark Gagnon sparked something when we were doing our video, in the way and the importance that he listens to people's names because everybody is important. And that's important. You watching this, whether you like me or not, you are important. Tommy G, staying on point. I'm going to go back to the importance of remembering people's name in just a sec. Tommy G sparked something in me just the other day when he was talking about the Kia Boys and how nice it would actually be to him if he didn't have the platform, which is a way of saying that he had something to offer them, right? So I'm building my own platform because all these big name companies, including Sean Ryan, I cannot be so remiss. Joe Rogan, everybody and their mother knows Joe Rogan. Going back to Camp Gagnon, stay with me. Sean Ryan, I really feel a strong affinity towards because we're both have been sober for a long time. In fact, here next week, I'm going to have 3 decades that I have not touched a drop to drink. Not a drop. Not even communion wine when I'm at church with my wife. I won't touch his stuff. And I'm not very religious, but the label Christianity is important to me. But my sobriety, I hope to die sober. 3 decades now, going on 3 decades. I'm not and not an addict or an alcoholic. I don't want to put it that way for legal terms. I'm just going to say that I do not imbibe or indulge in alcohol or any other mind-altering chemicals or substances in any way at all. At all. And if you're ever struggling with that and you need some help, I want you to hit me up because I don't care who you are. I will help you. I will go out of my way to help you because I've been given a huge life directly because other people have helped me. So, there's that. Sean Ryan, arrested for cocaine, working in other countries. Sean, I hope you see this. I would love to interview you, man. Screw my story. Your story is amazing, dude. Amazing. I was on the phone with the CIA. Bustamani's talking about you have to be mentally messed up to go to the CIA. I'm calling the CIA, telling them, hey, send me to some other country and let me do whatever. For a half hour on the phone with this chick, they hung up. Sean, I would love to hear your story, man. You got to. And Bustamante, I don't know where I'm at with you yet. I don't know how much of this is psyops, sticking stuff out. But Sean's got his own platform. Writes down scriptures on the boards of the foundational boards, the 2x4s and 2x6s, the planks in his building as some type of spiritual protection. Man, I dig that about you, dude. Oh, that's awesome. Man, I love it. I love it. So, getting back to Camp Gagnon and the importance of people, you're important. You, even my trolls, are important to me. Why? Why do you give a shit about people? Tommy G, thanks for pushing me to make my own platform, man. Just giving me one more incentive. Mark Gagnon, thank you for teaching me that I need to pay more attention to people's names. When you go to work in Mexico, they send you a battery of tests, psych tests and other stuff. You got your physical stuff. There's also pruebas de control y confianza, or your background stuff that's with a group that you never work with. They're completely separated, and that's their thing. When you go you have to sign away all of your paychecks and your stuff to an emergency contact or someone that's going to be the beneficiary of your checks and whatever in case you're killed, because that happens all the time, obviously. But they send you to a place to do psychological exams, and one of the things that they'll have you do is they'll have you draw out people. Let me get some of that. Oh. They'll have you draw figures of people, and then you have to write about them. And when you're drawing it, what you don't know is that the more detail you put into the drawings, the more it's perceived that you see humans as that you see people as human beings, which can either be good or bad. There's no right answers because people get used for different things. But the less details that you put, the less likely it is that you're able to recognize or sympathize with the humanity in other people, or empathize, más bien, more correctly. So you write these stories, and so I'm writing these figures down. You can pick whoever you want. You write them down. But there's like lots of little things that you'll be exposed to as far as your tests go. And this test in particular, I never forgot it. And I'm not going to get into who I wrote down and what I said about them. My figures were moderately detailed, but not super detailed. And if you work around gunfire and violence and stuff like that, sooner or later, at least as far as my experience goes, you're going to start seeing people like meat. What do I mean by that? There was a guy, God rest his soul, man. There was a guy one night, and we had to fold his body up like a butterfly, folding wings over and stuff to get him onto the top of the board, the stretcher, for the coroner to stick him in the truck. As respectfully as I can say it, there was feces covering his body and other stuff. I don't want to get into it. The guy thought he was going home that night, never made it. Never made it. About 3 o'clock in the morning. On Mark's videos, I kind of broke down a little bit because you hold a lot of this stuff inside you and you don't have anybody to share it with, man. And remembering people's names and that they're important. No, I don't want Snapchat viewing, thank you. Remembering people's names and their humanity is important. And the reason why it's so important, even for my trolls, if you get nothing else that I say today, take this with you. It is impossible. I'm going to say it again. It is impossible. It's especially relevant right now with all the stuff going on in our country. It is impossible, right, to dehumanize somebody else without simultaneously dehumanizing yourself. You cannot detract from another human being's value without detracting from your own. And it took me a long time to think that, because I did call up the CIA, calling them up, asking to be a hitman for them. I grew up an extremely violent life with Bloods and Crips in LA. With a Mexican barrio that had some black people in it, less than 2 blocks away from the house. So me and my brother are fighting those guys. We're fighting 30 Crips off at high school with knives, which is the only thing. We grew up with a lot of stuff. Getting shot at. Not going to get in all the specific neighborhoods. Actually, I think I already did say exactly what project I grew up next to, but whatever. You cannot dehumanize somebody else without dehumanizing yourself. And I didn't know that. You got a guy that wants to go hunt and kill people for the CIA. And about my channel, there's a lot of legalities involved, because you're talking about stuff that the government reserves for themselves. And so as long as you're on the right side of the law and you're not bound by any contractual obligations or laws or security clearances with the United States, you can basically say whatever you want. You'll see Navy SEALs and other people come back, fabricate complete stories that are total BS. Not going to get into them. I don't know what they're going through, but it's not truthful. I got to be truthful. When I'm telling my story, I got to be careful because there's another government involved And technically, you're not allowed to go join a military in another country if you're an American citizen. You're not allowed to do it, barring some type of contractual military obligation that you had to the country that you were born in. There's a lot that goes on with that. However, you are allowed to go join a police force in another country because that's not technically a military. So there are a lot of little subtleties going on. But suffice to say, you're going to see a lot of violent, brutal stuff working in Mexico. And when you go there, a lot of people are like, hey, Dave, why are you putting your face out there in public like that? When you go put on a uniform in Mexico with the bandera, el tri, with the Mexican flag on your shoulder, looking the way that I do and sounding the way that I sound. On my first night patrol, when we got back, they told me not to talk because 100% they would have recognized my voice, and I wound up talking that night. I talked a lot. I'm not going to say exactly what I said because for those that weren't there, it's not their business. I will never reveal that. But I am going to say that it was immediately known. A lot of people thought I was CIA in Mexico. In fact, going back home right now, because I have a home there, flips me out. They just arrested an American that looks, ironically, a lot like Tommy G. They just arrested him in Mexico with CIA credentials and high-power rifles. And I'm just dying to know why the hell he would be parading around on a balcony in public with his weapons and his tack vest and his plate carrier or whatever. Why he would do that, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. My wife's calling me, so I'm going to end this video. I'm just going to say that you can't dehumanize somebody else without dehumanizing yourself. So, I love talking to my wife. Forgive me, I got to end this video. So anyways, guys, sorry about that, man. My wife and I, we're like that. So she called. I had to like break off. I could use some help. You know, I'm dead sure that I've got a story to tell. And, you know, I'm not the best at organizing things. I did see the team that was interviewing me. They all had their specific functions. And Tommy, Gabe, Jaime, Jesus, Mark, just all great guys, man. So, you know, I don't know how to script my videos. I don't know what sells, what doesn't, but I do know that I got a story to tell. And I know that I have access to things that other people don't have access to, without a doubt, you know. So, and I'm not even looking to make money. I just want people to know what's what, you know. People should know. People should be able to trust what they're being fed in the news, which is primarily why I do this. You know, you can't see it. You know, I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I've got that. I like to read a lot. I've got that. Got some stuff that I might have to edit out one part of that. Like, I'm busy, dude. I stay busy all the time. I've got my little plants that I love. You know, I might have to edit some of that out too because I don't want to exactly dox my entire house. But I also want you to know what's what. And, you know, saying this, putting my name to this, like when I went to Mexico, I've got this face. People, you know, Mark Denny from the Dog Brothers used to say he didn't know if I was stupid or genius. Being down there, just putting everything on blast the way that it is. A lot of times cartels will be hesitant to kill Americans because it'll generate some heat. But then at the same time, you know, people can be disappeared and never being seen again. So you're walking a tightrope, dude. And then there was some German guy that just uploaded a video earlier today talking about how great Mexico is and how safe that he feels in El DF, or Distrito Federal, the federal district in the middle, which is the Mexican version of Washington, D.C. And it is pretty safe. I mean, you can get in some stuff too. But then also he doesn't know the story about the German tourists and the Italian tourists that were biking through Chiapas, and the only thing they ever found, two bicyclists, the only thing they found was the German guy's foot, or maybe the Italian guy's foot. It was one of them. They found one of their feet. The rest of them, nobody knows. So when you go to Mexico and you have this space, yeah, the American government can shield you from some stuff. And at the same time, you work in a place where there are hundreds of thousands of people that have been disappeared into nothingness, and you too can meet that end. So I know that I've got a lot of stuff to say, and when I put my face out there, I've made that decision when I put on that uniform a long time ago, and so did my family and anyone attached to me. You know, my immediate family, which is like my wife. You know, she's a major journalist. She interviewed the Dalai Lama and other people, I mean, and her entire source was the military and the police agencies, whether they're agents from the ministry, agents from the Secretaría de Seguridad Pública, where I worked, or other things, you know. So she's putting her stuff out there too. As far as getting the team together, you know, I need some help. And I know that people watch my videos, and I know people know about me, and they interact with me on Facebook and other places. But I don't know how to do this all myself. And so if you want to help or you want to be on board, I am building this thing. I'm extremely stubborn and tenacious, and I'm not going to give it up. I don't know that I could really pay you anything or what I would pay you, but let's start seeing something, at least even if we were collaborating, because I reach out to these main guys and they all think I want something from them, and I don't. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and have been doing what I'm going to do for decades now. Make decent cash. I'm not asking you for any of your money. I don't need any of your money, like you major guys. Didn't charge a penny for my story, which I could. I'm not. So, and this isn't braggadocio or arrogance. I hate, it's so hard to articulate exactly the precise content and feeling and inflection of something that you state online. I am very humble and very grateful for everything that anyone has ever given me in my life, 1000%, okay? Same time, I've gone out of my way to get a story that other people haven't. In fact, I'm one of 3 people that have worked in the Republic of Mexico. There was a Polish guy training federal troops in El DF. There's a Colombian that was special forces that I worked with directly that wound up was working for for the Zeta cartel, which is scary as hell because we're both like Grupo Aeromovil. I mean, both of us. And then there's myself, all 3 of us. So unless you're one of us 3, there's not really a lot of stories like us in Mexico. And even when they're talking about Kike Camarena wasn't running around the Republic armed and whatnot. So it would be something extremely particular. In my case, it was just dumb luck that I wound up with that. So hey, that's enough for me out of the day. I got some others. I got 6 assignments that are due for school I got to get done. I got some work stuff I got to get done. Hey, I dig having you here, man. So if you like and subscribe, tell your friends. I'm growing this channel whether people are going to support me or not. I'm going to do it. So cheers.